Do you feel like you are always busy and never have enough time to pursue spiritual growth? If so, you are definitely not alone. Millions of people are in the exact same boat that you are in, including me sometimes. With an amazing family and full-time career, life definitely gets busy from time to time, giving me the false impression that my spiritual growth has to take a pause or back seat. But what I'm about to share with you in this video is that you don't have to let your spirituality take a back seat. In fact, there are ways that you can find serenity in even the most chaotic moments and periods of your life, and we will actually go over some practical tips and insights on how exactly you can do this. But first, if you are enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to drop a like and consider becoming a subscriber. With just a couple of clicks, you can stay up to date on all the latest videos that come out every week and that can help you grow spiritually, from practical spiritual teachings to guided meditations and more. I promise you will learn a thing or two from these videos, and who knows, they may even give you a different perspective on your current spiritual practice. But with that, let's now get back to how we can cultivate spiritual growth in our busy lives. For starters, we need to spend some time up front to evaluate all the things that make us busy and determine whether they are really essential in our lives. For example, no one is suggesting that you quit your job or that you stop spending time with your family. But maybe you don't need to spend hours watching TV or scrolling through social media for the next viral video or trend. You know, time is an incredibly precious resource that we can never get back. And you'll be amazed at how much time you really have to dedicate to your spiritual growth once you actually sit down and write or think about all the different things that take up your time. In fact, when people say they're busy, what they really mean is that they don't think a particular activity or person deserves their time. The truth is, we all have time for something, but it's all about whether that something is really important to us. For example, if maintaining a balance in your life is really important to you, then you will find every opportunity to work on that, even if it's just 5 minutes a day. For me personally, I spend a lot of time making and editing these videos. But the good thing is that I really enjoy what I do, and that I actually find myself growing spiritually in the process. And so I'm trying to find every chance possible to make these videos, even if I'm tired, exhausted, or short on time. The fact of the matter is that we can't get rid of all our tasks and responsibilities, but we can minimize the distractions that don't really serve us and instead use that time to focus on our soul. This brings me to the next point, which is understanding the value that you place on your spirituality in the first place. If you're not really sure why you should nurture your soul, then it's going to be really hard to keep up that practice, no matter how good you think it is for you. I see this problem a lot, unfortunately, with people wanting to work out or go on a diet for purely extrinsic reasons. Their main motivation is often to look good for others or to get their approval, not to take care of themselves. But the sad part is that many of these people don't actually realize this. Or if they do, they don't think it's that big of an issue. However, when it comes to actually maintaining that diet or workout, they struggle to stay motivated and eventually quit. Now, if this sounds like your approach to spirituality, then guess what? It unfortunately won't last either. It's hard enough to practice spirituality when you have plenty of free time, and it only gets harder the busier you become. So take the time to understand why you really want to pursue spiritual growth in the first place. And if it's really because you have a deep yearning to discover your true self and to find inner peace, then let that motivation be front and center whenever you are busy, so that you never forget or neglect your spiritual practice. Once you understand and internalize the real reasons why you want to grow spiritually, the next step is to accept the reality that you won't always be able to carry out your spiritual practice in the way you want or expect. Now, this is something that I had to learn the hard way. When I graduated college, I just kind of wanted to be a bum. I just wanted to sit at home all day and meditate, read different kinds of spiritual books, and do all the things that I thought would help me grow spiritually. I really didn't want to do all the adult things, like working a 9-to-5 job, paying bills, or saving up for a house. And so I easily became disappointed at all the times I spent doing these things, instead of appreciating them for what they really were, which was opportunities to grow spiritually. You see, many of us might think that in order to grow spiritually, we must leave our ordinary life behind. But the truth is, this really only applies to a very small amount of people. For the rest of us, spirituality can be found in even the most mundane and ordinary of activities. In fact, I have seen many people who live such quiet and normal lives, but who are so advanced spiritually compared to those who have been spending years reading books and living in isolation. Now, I'm not saying that one lifestyle is better than the other, but if you're not the type to leave everything behind to go live up in the mountains, then just know that it's perfectly fine to carry out your daily responsibilities and still balance your spirituality. When you change your perspective to see everything you do as a spiritual experience, you will no longer be bothered by sitting in traffic, having to work on the weekend, or doing something you don't really enjoy. Because no matter what situation you find yourself in, peace and serenity are always yours. You have the choice to either grow or lose it, but you can never blame your environment or situation for not letting you grow spiritually. If you look closely, there are teachers and guides in the most unlikeliest of situations. There are lessons in every corner of life. And most importantly, there is God in every moment of your existence. If you can remember this, then you will no longer view spirituality as separate from your life, but rather as life itself. Now, up until this point, we have just mostly discussed changes to our thoughts and perspectives to help us grow spiritually. But you may be wondering, what about the actual practices themselves? What should we really focus on, especially with the limited time that we have? This is where things become a little more individualized, because everyone resonates with a different practice or activity. Some people like to read books, others like to meditate, while others might enjoy being in nature or going to a lecture or class. There really is no right or wrong activity here, as long as the experience itself leads you inward. Some people, like myself, might not read a ton of books because we find it just produces more thoughts and we prefer silence instead. However, others might enjoy learning through some sort of a structure, whether that's through a book or through the guidance of someone who is already down that path. Again, both options are perfectly fine, but it's a matter of choosing what's right for you. What will actually resonate with your soul? Because if you haven't figured it out by now, your soul is like your North Star. It is your compass. When you get to a level of deep awareness and introspection, you'll find that your soul is actually telling you what you need to do. In other words, you no longer have to rely on your chaotic mind all the time. Instead, there is this quiet but wise voice gently guiding you in whatever direction you need to go. But it's important for you to learn to trust this voice. And once you do, you will see your spirituality reach new heights. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you carry out your spiritual practice, just as long as you actually do it. I know some of you might want me to instruct you to meditate more, or eat less, or do this and do that. But such prescriptive, one-size-fits-all guidance doesn't do justice to what each of you specifically resonate with. Rather, I'll give you something more powerful. I invite you to discover what practices actually resonate with you. Because although I can't tell you what book to read, what class to attend, or what asana to practice, what I can tell you is that each of these activities should help you travel deeper and deeper into your soul. You shouldn't be doing them just for the sake of doing them. Rather, they should be a part of your daily spiritual practice to unveil the illusions and distractions that prevent you from seeing the reality of all things, that prevent you from connecting with God. That is when you know whether a particular activity or practice is right for you or not. And when you are able to understand the activities or practices that are actually right for you, then you can effectively allocate your time to those activities. In other words, if you enjoy reading but love meditating more, perhaps you might restructure your day to include a longer meditation and then read later if there is still time available. It's true, there are only so many hours in the day, but it's also true that we have much more time than we think we do. It's all about evaluating how our time is really spent, understanding the value of spirituality in our lives, accepting the limitations of time, and finding spirituality in everyday life. If we can do these things, then we will be able to nurture our souls even when we live a busy life. I myself have arguably never been busier than perhaps the last few months, and yet I feel so at peace and fulfilled spiritually because I make the conscious effort to let my spirituality permeate every moment of my life. I find myself just trusting the process more. And although I still have a long way to go, I'm truly blessed to be in this position right now, taking care of my soul while also taking care of my daily responsibilities. And I hope that after watching this video, you too are now inspired to follow a similar path and make spirituality the essence of your life rather than just the part of your life. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, check out some of the other videos on this channel, and above all, never let the excuse of being busy get in the way of awakening your soul. Because as you continue to travel down this path, you will realize that there is nothing more important in this world than discovering your true self and connecting with God. Nothing and no one would be here right now if it wasn't for God. And so we need to make God the absolute priority in every single day that we live. If we can do this, then even our busy days become our peaceful days.